So I have always considered myself more spiritual than religious. I'm not associated with any particular religion. I was brought up Catholic and had that very early sense of ritual and mass and ceremony that definitely informs me as a person and my work practice. But I became very interested in Zen meditation when I lived in San Francisco, actually. I worked with the artist David Ireland, who has an everyday kind of concept of Zen. And he talks a lot about this idea of the different kinds of time in his work. He's unfortunately left this world now, but he still informs me as a wonderful guide. So I would really honor him in my class. I consider the work of John Cage, even though it's in a different discipline, to be hugely influential to my own practice. That idea of framing what he terms in his music realm as silence. I feel like we can find that in architecture as space. We can find it in sort of a void, an everyday void, I like to talk about in my own work. And in collage, of course, it's the idea of the figure and the ground, the background and the figure, you know, the thing you're putting on versus the thing you're putting it on, the background. So playing with that idea comes a lot from the readings I've done in the Zen tradition of Buddhism. But I also use Pema Chodron, who's a Tibetan writer. I've used this wonderful book. I actually have it right next to me. So this is my own little Bible, the Pocket Pema Chodron. The Zen of Creativity was a book that I refer to a lot. Everyday Mindfulness is a text that I refer to a lot, and I pull quotes every week from the worlds of phenomenology, from architecture, from sculpture, from spiritual traditions that I feel would be helpful. We took a deep dive into the work of Joseph Albers last week, but I'd like to talk about Joseph Albers in the context of Indian chakra theories. So it's kind of like bringing these two things, these two traditions that I don't know, have they ever been placed side by side together, and seeing what happens when my students are introduced to those together. And the prompts, responses to the prompts have been just mind-blowing this time around. So I've been really happy so far with our conversations and with the results of the class. My favorite thing about teaching at the Evanston Arts Centre, and I'm going to focus on my ability to teach online through Zoom, is that I'm able to accept students into the class that may not be just Evanston based. So we've had students dialing in from California, from interest from North Carolina. I'm actually born and raised in Dublin, Ireland, and I've had people interested from joining us from Europe, which I still have to do, but I feel has such a good potential for the class and to contribute so that we have local residents from Evanston who are calling in, and Chicagoland areas, but also these sort of far-flung places. And I've worked with Ellie to create a time that people can maybe have access to the class from around the world and around the US.